11 months ago, I was evicted. And at the age of 27, I had to go live with my parent in my dad's basement. I was so embarrassed, to say the least. I felt like a failure. But here's the truth, and I had to learn this the hard way. You are not your circumstances. And your circumstances don't define who you are. Hi, I'm Imani or Yani or whatever you want to call me, and welcome. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, just get comfortable. You're going to love it here. Trust me. And if you're returning, welcome. I love you. I missed you. Today, I want to talk about something personal, something I've kind of been ashamed of to talk about for over almost a year. I am finally brave enough. Well, is that the correct word that I want to use? Brave enough? Well, yeah, okay, yes. I am finally brave enough to talk about something very embarrassing that happened in my life, which is my eviction and how that season of my life turned me around. Granted, here's a disclaimer, I'm still living at my dad's house. So, yeah, even though I'm still here, I'm finally feeling brave enough to talk about how it affected me. Basically, what it taught me about independence, resilience, and why I will never, and I mean never, let my circumstances define who I am or determine my future ever again. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Okay, my eviction story. Well, it's not unique. We were evicted, and I feel like a lot of people go through this, but a lot of people don't like to talk about it. We were evicted. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had just started working. I lost my job because I was in a car accident. I just recently went to court for that too. It wasn't my fault, but I lost the case because I was so nervous. Off subject, keep going, Imani. I got into a car accident, which means I couldn't work. A few weeks after that, my partner lost his job as well. So we were two jobless people living in an apartment that we were already behind on. And since we were jobless, we couldn't necessarily pay our rent. So, yeah, it was embarrassing. I'm going to say that a lot. I was embarrassed and I was humiliated a lot in that era of my life. I had so much hope that one of us would find a job so we can catch up on our rent. I could not find a job. All the jobs that wanted to hire me was so far. I didn't have a car, and since I didn't work, I didn't have money to get an Uber there. But eventually one of us did find a job, and it was my partner. His job was right down the street from where we worked, so it was close. Though his job was in a great location and his schedule was extremely convenient, his pay was so shitty. His pay was ass. They barely paid this man. He worked so much and they barely paid him. The pay was $12. The pay was $12.25 an hour. The minimum wage in DC is $17. We can't live off of $12.75 an hour or 25 cents an hour, whichever it was. We can't live off of that. And since this job did pay so little, we still could barely afford our rent. And since we could barely afford our rent, we fell further and further and further behind. We could only pay half our rent most months. And I felt so much shame about the situation we were in that I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want to ask for help because I knew no one could really help us. I didn't tell anyone in my family besides my sister. My sisters, though they were understanding and they were supportive, there wasn't really anything that they can do except for cheer me on from the sidelines. And another reason why I didn't tell my family is because I knew that they would look down on me. Because I don't know if I've said this in a past episode, but I'm basically the black sheep of my family. So everyone always expects me to just fail in life anyway. So I did what I do best and I kept it to myself. But when we finally got the eviction notice on our door and we had to go to court, I completely gave up. When we were in court, we had to stand before a judge. So when our names were finally called to speak to the judge, she basically told us that there was nothing that we can do because we were so behind on rent. And God, oh my God, when we got our verdict, is that what it's called, a verdict? I don't know. But when she finally told us that we had to leave the premises on October 7th of last year, I almost walked out because I wanted to cry so bad. Because I didn't feel like any of this was my fault. It just seemed like horrible circumstances just kept building and building and building and building to the point where there was nothing that we can do. And the fact that I was being kicked out of a place that I called mine, my home, it just added on to the shame. I want you guys to understand something. I want everyone to understand something. So many people experience setbacks, but it's just taboo to talk about. No one wants to talk about their failures. No one wants to talk about their downfalls. No one wants to talk about it because people feel shame around it. But I feel like since it is such a taboo subject, maybe if more people acknowledge their setbacks and talked about it, their past experiences, their past setbacks can help other people so they wouldn't have to go through the same thing. Or it can give someone hope, because hearing someone else's story and they've gone through the same thing, it will probably make them think, okay, wow, I can get out of this situation too. Which is why I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing my story because hopefully one day, if someone is watching this and they're going through a similar experience, this will help. And I also want to touch on the grief of losing my independence, losing my own home, my own space. It didn't feel real to me. It really didn't. It did not feel real to me at all. It shook my pride. It shook my ego. It felt like such a setback, because after being kicked out, I was going right back to a place that I got kicked out of a few years before, which is my dad's house. So that bruised my pride and my ego much more than I could say the eviction did. No, it was equal. It was equal. I'm not gonna lie. It was an equal bruise. Living with my parents at 27. When we moved here, and when I moved back here, because this is actually my childhood bedroom, I just turned it into my tattoo studio. When I moved back here, I expected a few things. I can't lie. I expected a few things. First, I thought that we would only spend a few months here, tops, maybe from October to February, mostly to save up so that we can get into our next place as soon as possible. But I soon realized that it's harder to apply to apartments and actually get accepted if you have an eviction in your name. I know to others that might seem logical, like,
Duh, you were kicked out of an apartment for not paying your rent. What makes you think that the process to get a new apartment would be easy?
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought that, oh, hey, maybe they'll excuse it if we pay a few months extra, or they'll be like, oh, it was their first apartment. It's okay. Move here. Move here. No, it was not like that. So yeah, that expectation it flew out the window. It said, meow. The second thing I expected is that I would be treated like an adult, and I wasn't. Instead, I was treated like a child. They basically shitted on everything that I did. They deemed me not worthy of being an adult because I made a mistake. They tried to make it seem like I wasn't responsible because me and my partner made a mistake. We weren't adults because we had an eviction. Granted, it was a huge mistake, but it's still a mistake. Everyone learns from mistakes. Okay, the thing that got me about this situation is that they wouldn't have even known that we were evicted if our apartment wasn't robbed the day of our eviction. We had everything packed. We were moving, but the landlord came with the marshals and told us that we couldn't finish putting our stuff in the moving van because it wasn't convenient to him. So he told us to come back the next morning. So during that night, someone who had the key to the apartment came in and stole most of our items. They stole some money, they stole an Xbox, they stole my son's tablet, they stole a bunch of things. Like, I still have the list. And sometimes I still get so upset about this, but if we didn't get robbed, they wouldn't have known about it. The only reason I ended up telling my stepmother about the eviction and the robbery is because she was evicted before. So I thought that she would have some advice on what we should do about being robbed during an eviction. Her eviction was maybe 20, 30 years ago, but still, advice is advice. I thought she can help, but she did the exact opposite. She ended up telling everyone that we were being evicted and that people robbed our apartment during the eviction. She told everyone that. Business that I didn't want anyone to know. She also just turned the entire situation around on us. She made it seem like we were irresponsible and that we were coming in here just to be freeloaders. That wasn't the case. We came in here with intentions to help. We came in here with intentions to pay money a month to live here because the living isn't free. We came here with the intentions of being responsible, but her just automatically labeling us irresponsible because of a mistake that we made doesn't. She's not clocking it.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
They treated me like I was a child, even though I'm 28 years old and I have my own child. They just insisted on treating me like a child because I made a mistake. They would say things and their actions wouldn't match what they would say. My dad would constantly ask me for help and then turn around and call me out of my name. Or turn around after I helped him and call someone on the phone and lie about me and say that I never helped him. It's ridiculous. The help I expected, the guidance, the advice, it never came. It wasn't there. Everything just seemed transactional. And I've been thinking about this for almost the entire year that we've been here. What if my son was in the same situation I was? What if he had to leave his place of living to come stay with me? Would I treat him the same way I was treated? No. This situation basically taught me how not to be a parent, what not to do as a parent. Because if my son was ever put in the same situation I was, I would help him. I would help him. I wouldn't make him feel less than because he made a mistake or because something happened that was out of his control. And I definitely wouldn't make him pay me. And if I was making him pay me, I would set the money that he was giving me aside so that he would have money to move out. As a parent, if my child was with me, I would never make it an issue because I'm the one who brought them into the world. They didn't ask to be here. So if they make a mistake, maybe I can help them. I can give them advice. I can give them guidance. That's what parents are for. I would only help him grow. I would never shame my son. Never. That's basically what they were doing to me. They basically shamed me. They basically made me feel like I was less than because I made a mistake. And being here, the help I expected, it never came. And if I'm being honest, this dynamic, it tore me down. It tore me down. And I already felt like this was the lowest point in my life. And the way I was being treated, it just made me feel even worse. Like, dang, I'm already f***ing homeless and I don't have a job. And you're just making me feel worse about the situation. What the f-? The basement as a metaphor. The way they made it and the way that they spoke to us, the way they made it seem like the basement was a full-blown 2-bedroom apartment with a full kitchen and a full bathroom. No, it's basically a studio apartment. We don't even have a kitchen downstairs and we definitely don't have a full bathroom. We have to walk upstairs past my dad to just take a shower or to give a bath to our son. There's a kitchen, not a kitchen, there's a refrigerator downstairs for us to store our food. And there's a small shelving unit for us to put our canned foods and seasonings on. But besides that, we don't have much downstairs. And the biggest thing is there's no door. There's no door leading into the basement. We don't even have that. We don't have a door. We don't have any privacy. So people can just walk up and down the steps to the basement as they please, invading our privacy because...
Why would the homeless freeloaders need privacy? They got evicted. Why do they need privacy? Who knows?
We had to put up a curtain to give us that sense of privacy so that at least they won't look into our living space. But people still move the curtain to the side to peek at the way we're living, to peek at our space. And they constantly talk about how cluttered it is. Of course it's cluttered. We just left an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment, to come live in basically a studio basement. Make it make sense. Like, what do you expect? We don't even have storage downstairs to put anything. We had to leave behind most of our big furniture because it wouldn't fit downstairs. Then there's a gnat infestation. I don't know if you've been seeing these gnats flying around. YouTube, I can't curse. I don't know if you've been seeing these gnats flying around, like past the camera and around me. Yeah, there has been a freaking gnat infestation here. And at first it was because the basement was uninhabited, so no one really went downstairs to use the bathroom or even use the basement. So there were a bunch of spiders, a bunch of those little weevil bugs, whatever they're called, and gnats because the drains weren't being used. And the second half of the gnat infestation, yes, I have to admit it wasn't because of me. It was because of my partner. He didn't take out the trash for a week and they just multiplied downstairs because it was hot. Taking responsibility here. Not me, I'm just taking responsibility for him. And then another thing about privacy, right? When we first moved here, when my dad would have guests, he would send people downstairs to use our bathroom. And I'm going to give you something that you can picture so you can see the perspective of how ridiculous that is. We have a half bathroom downstairs in the basement. If you come all the way upstairs to the area that I'm in right now, my old bedroom has a full-size bathroom, and then my dad's bedroom has a full-size bathroom. Why is he sending people downstairs to use our bathroom? Why? It just feels like, well, now they do because I set boundaries, but it just felt like no one respected our space. No one respected the fact that we were living down there. So since our space is so cluttered and has been cluttered, I decided to take a stand, not because people were complaining about it, but because cleaning just became symbolic to me. Clearing clutter, downsizing, and making room for my future self. That is what felt right to me. And that's what's going to lead us into the next part. Hard lessons learned. Hard lessons learned. So to prepare for our move, hopefully next month, fingers crossed, I've been packing and I've been throwing away a lot of things. I've been downsizing to invite more into my future life, into my future, period. And being here taught me that you don't need much to live, that you can live simplistically. And I'm not a simplistic person at all, but being here also taught me that sometimes parents don't always show up in the way that you expect them to, or that you need them to. And that's okay. It's hard, but it's okay. It's really hard. But it has clarified one thing for me. It's clarified to me that I will not be like my parents. At all. No, I refuse. And yeah, my kid is 4. And I know I'm not a perfect parent. I know that I'm not. But I know that I am definitely a better parent than my parents are. And living here has taught me how not to be a parent. Or how to treat your kids with respect. How to love your kids properly. Being in that basement pushed me to start my healing journey. Because when we first got here, I cried so much. I have so many videos of me crying and just expressing how I felt. I sat there in this rock bottom feeling, right? For months. I sat in that feeling for months. Until one day, I woke up and I realized I don't have anything to lose. I literally have nothing to lose. I don't have a job. I don't have a home. I don't have money. I have nothing. The only thing I have is my son and my family. So I started therapy. I started my therapy journey. I started working harder. And I focused on YouTube and other creative endeavors that I pushed aside or just never started working on. And with therapy taught me how to set boundaries. And setting those boundaries taught me how to respect myself. And respecting myself taught me that I can choose my vision over shame. So yeah, it was just like dominoes just falling, which takes us into the next part, the shift, empowerment. Even though it took almost a year, I have shifted how I felt about my situation. I've moved from embarrassment to acceptance to owning my story. I own this story now. Like, this is a part of my story. This is a story that I'm going to tell one day and laugh about it. And I also reframed this point in my life from my lowest point. I reframed it from my lowest point to my reset point. My lowest point, reset point. Just having that switch, having that mind shift, it changed everything because I'm choosing discipline. I'm choosing to set boundaries and stick with my boundaries. I'm choosing my vision over shame and over embarrassment and over what other people think about me. I'm choosing me over all of that. And even though my circumstances are terrible, I'm still working towards my dream. I'm working towards the life that I want. And no one's opinion, not any of them, not anyone, no one's opinion will ever, and I mean ever, lower my opinion of myself. Because I am not my circumstances. Oh my God, I'm not my past. I am me. And I choose who I am. I choose how my future is going to look. Me. And being here surrounded by disrespect, it taught me how to have self-respect. That's something that I struggled with before I moved here. But being here, it amplified that.
Demanding respect.
I don't know why you mad like that.
You confuse my anger with disrespect. It's anger because you're disrespecting me. You don't get to disrespect me and get away with it.
It was just like, ooh, no. I wasn't about to keep dealing with being called out of my name and being treated like a child. No. Being here helped me with my self-respect. It forced me to learn self-respect because guess what? Me respecting myself is proving to myself that I am ready to step into my grown woman era. I am stepping into my grown woman era. I haven't felt like a grown woman since I became an adult. Since I hit my 20s, I've never felt like a grown woman. But being in this situation, it taught me that I am a grown woman. And I'm finally feeling like a grown woman. Even if they do want to treat me like a child, that's them. Me, I feel like I'm actually a grown woman now, which is crazy to me because it's just enlightening. Being at my reset point, it was just so enlightening. So I want to leave you with a few things. If you are in a low season right now, that doesn't define you, okay? Don't let that define you. Don't let it define you. Your environment does not determine your future. Your environment does not determine who you are or who you're becoming. Your choices do. Your choices, and you decide that. And you are not your circumstances. You're not. You're not your circumstances because you are the person who chooses what comes next. I know I just said that, but I just had to repeat it. And I know this sounds crazy, but I'm actually thankful for my eviction now. Even though it broke me down and it took so much out of me, I am grateful for it. Oh, look at the cat. It pushed me to my reset point without me even knowing that I needed a reset point. It forced me out of my comfort zone. It forced me to do a lot of things, if I'm being honest. So yes, I'm grateful for my eviction. I'm grateful for living here. Even though it's not the best place to live, and even though it's toxic and miserable, I am still grateful to have a place to live. And I'm also grateful for being taken out of my comfort zone because in our old home, I was settling. I wasn't doing anything to work towards my goals, my dreams at all. I would talk about it and I would journal about it and I would post sticky notes everywhere, but I wouldn't do anything about it. So being here actually gave me that push that I needed. I'm grateful for all of it. I'm even grateful for the disrespect because without that, I wouldn't have learned how to respect myself. So
You don't get to disrespect me and get away with it. No, not tonight, sir. Not tonight, sir. Not tonight.
Hey, I'm grateful for everything. So, if this story resonated with you and you're at your reset point, because we're not saying your lowest point anymore, or we could say a low season. If you're in a low season or at the beginning of your reset point, like this video and comment below what you're doing and what you're grateful for, because I feel like we should all find something to be grateful for every day. And if you know someone who's going through a tough season right now, just share this video with them if you want. Maybe it can help them. I don't know. I'm just a girl on the internet. So I want to leave you with this. This is the last thing I want to leave you with. Trust me, I'm done talking. This is not the end of your story because your circumstances do not define you. This is the beginning of something better. Preach, girl. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Be safe, love your life, heal. I don't know. But yeah, okay. See you in the next video. Mwah.
You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?